Buyers worldwide go for bigger cars, erasing gains from cleaner tech. EVs would help. Israel and Hamas complete second day of swaps after tense delay. As Gaza ceasefire holds, an Israeli-owned ship was targeted in suspected Iranian attack in Indian Ocean, U.S. official tells AP. Today is Sunday, November 26, 2023, and this is the Dunkley Report. The energy used by cars and their CO2 emissions could have dropped by over 30% in the past decade if not for the world's growing taste for SUVs. A new report from the Global Fuel Economy Initiative suggests. Electric vehicles are a solution, but large gas-powered cars are incredibly popular, especially in the U.S., and their overall market share keeps growing. Large SUVs like the Chevrolet Tahoe, Toyota Sequoia, or Nissan Armada have highway fuel efficiency of just 28, 24, and 19 miles per gallon, respectively. Hamas militants released 17 hostages, including 13 Israelis, from captivity in the Gaza Strip, while Israel freed 39 Palestinian prisoners in the latest stage of a 4-day ceasefire that has delivered a brief respite from a devastating war between the two enemies. The late-night exchange was held up for several hours after Hamas accused Israel of violating the agreement. The delay underscored the fragility of the ceasefire, which has halted fighting that has shocked and shaken Israel, caused widespread destruction across the Gaza Strip, and threatened to unleash wider fighting across the region. The ceasefire is the first extended break in 7 weeks of fighting. Overall, Hamas is to release at least 50 Israeli hostages and Israel 150 Palestinian prisoners. A container ship owned by an Israeli billionaire has come under attack by a suspected Iranian drone in the Indian Ocean as Israel wages war on Hamas in the Gaza Strip. That's according to an American defense official who spoke Saturday to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity to discuss intelligence matters. The official said the drone exploded, causing damage to the ship but not injuring any of its crew. The attack. Friday on the CMA-CGM, Simi comes, as global shipping increasingly finds itself targeted in the weeks-long Israel-Hamas war that threatens to become a wider regional conflict. That's even as a truce has halted fighting, and Hamas exchanges hostages for Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. More than 36 Palestinian prisoners have returned home to a hero's welcome in the occupied West Bank, following their release from Israeli prisons as part of a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas. The procession of freed prisoners, some accused of minor offenses and others convicted in attacks, stoked massive crowds of Palestinians into a chanting, clapping, hand-waving, screaming frenzy. The ceasefire agreement between Israel and Gaza's Hamas rulers involves the exchange, over 4 days, of 150 Palestinian minors and women in Israeli prison for 50 Israeli hostages held by Hamas. Most Palestinians expected to be released in the coming days are young men arrested over incitement and stone throwing. Ukrainian military officials say Russia has launched its most intense drone attack on Ukraine since the beginning of its full-scale invasion last year. Ukrainian Air Force Commander Mykola Oleshchuk said that Kiev was the main target of Saturday's assault. In total, 75 Iranian-made Shahed drones were launched by Russia against Ukraine, of which 74 were destroyed by air defenses, Ukraine's armed forces said. At least 5 civilians were wounded in the hours-long drone assault on Kiev, which saw several buildings damaged, including a kindergarten. The wounded included an 11-year-old child, according to Kiev Mayor Vitaly Klitschko. In addition to Kiev, the Sumy, Dnipropetrovsk, Zaporizhia, Mykolaiv, and Kirovohrad regions were also targeted. Russia threatened retaliation against Finland after its Nordic neighbor joined NATO earlier this year. Now hundreds of migrants from the Middle East and Africa have appeared at Finland's border from Russia. Finnish officials say the sudden surge in asylum seekers is no coincidence. They accuse Russia of driving the migrants to the border to sow discord as payback for Finland's decision to join the Western Military Alliance. Western countries have for years accused Russia and its ally Belarus of using migrants as pawns to destabilize Western democracies. Many see this as the latest such example. This is often described by European leaders as a form of hybrid warfare that Moscow has deployed against them. Palestinian officials say militants in a northern West Bank refugee camp have shot and killed 2 suspected collaborators with Israel. Footage shows mobs attacking the 2 corpses early Saturday, kicking them and dragging the bloodied bodies through alleys before trying to tie them to an electrical tower. The scenes were reminiscent of the chaos during the first and second Palestinian uprisings. During these periods of heightened conflict, there were frequent killings of alleged informers, at times with bodies displayed in public. Saturday's killings laid bare the pressures tearing at Palestinian society in what has already been a bloody year in the West Bank. A cautious calm has prevailed over the border area in South Lebanon. Saturday was the second day of a 4-day ceasefire between Hamas and Israel. Villages in South Lebanon that had emptied of their residents have come back to life, at least briefly. Lebanon and Hezbollah weren't officially parties to the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, but the halt in fighting has brought at least a temporary end to the daily exchanges of rockets, artillery shelling, and airstrikes. Some Lebanese took the opportunity to inspect their damaged houses or to pick up belongings. Others came back, hoping to stay. Around 55,500 Lebanese have been displaced by the clashes between the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah and Israeli forces. Syrian opposition activists say government forces shelled a northwestern village, killing at least 10 people, including 7 children. The Saturday morning shelling of the village of Kokafin is the latest violation of a truce reached in March 2020 between Russia and Turkey, who back rival sides in Syria's 12-year conflict that has killed 500,000 people. The attack struck a farm where people were picking olives and killed 9, including 6 children and 1 woman. That's according to the Britain-based opposition war monitor Syrian Observatory for Human Rights and the opposition's Syrian Civil Defense. Pakistani police say a blaze has killed at least 10 people in a shopping mall. The multi-story RJ Mall is in a high-rise commercial building that also houses call centers and software firms. The mayor of the southwestern city of Karachi said Saturday morning's fire injured at least 22 people, 5 in critical condition. Rescue work and a cooling operation are underway. He added, "The cause of the fire is not immediately clear. Karachi is the capital of southern Sindh province, where such incidents are common. Earlier this year, in April, a fire tore through a garment factory, killing 4 firefighters. The flames ripped through the building, eventually causing it to collapse." Today's news was reported by the Associated Press. This has been the international news for Sunday, November 26th, 2023. Thanks again for joining us here at the Dunkley Report.